Jerry Lee Lewis, Reigning Original Rock and Roller, an album review of Rock and Roll Time by Paul Leslie. If there's ever been a living, walking embodiment of rock and roll music, it's Jerry Lee Lewis. If you're reading or listening to this after September 29, 2020, he has just turned 85 years old. Along with Fats Domino, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, Lloyd Price, and Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee is considered one of the founding fathers of rock and roll, but his discography shows a natural mastery of everything from blues, country, and gospel. Jerry Lee can interpret anything. He's one of the greatest pianists and vocalists in the world. That's no exaggeration. In celebration of his 85th birthday, I listened repeatedly to his 2014 album, Rock and Roll Time. It's a collection of 11 songs by the greatest songwriters in American music: Kris Kristofferson, Chuck Berry, Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, and even a very old Jimmie Rodgers tune. This is the 41st studio album from a man known for consistently releasing great records. The album was produced by the late Steve Bing and drummer extraordinaire Jim Keltner. They produced the previous studio album of The Killer, Mean Old Man, which features Jerry singing duets with stars. This time, it's a star-studded record, but the musicians who join him have more of a supporting role. Such artists as Keith Richards, Ron Wood, Neil Young, Robbie Robertson, and others are quite adept as sidemen on this record. Although their flourishes are recognizable, on Rock and Roll Time, it's Jerry Lee Lewis's show. The album begins with the title track, Rock and Roll Time, which originally appeared on the Kris Kristofferson record Spooky Ladies Sideshow, written by Kris along with Roger McGuinn and Bob Newirth. It's a rollicking song that lets you know that this is going to be a fun album, but not without a touch of sentimentality. Yes, most of these songs have some years on them, but much like the singer, Jerry Lee, their energy is raw and youthful. The second song, Little Queenie, is pure rock and roll enjoyment. Originally recorded by Chuck Berry, Jerry sings it with a relaxed swagger. He's performed this song for decades. This track features Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood of Rolling Stones fame. The album also takes you to some unexpected places. Stepchild is a not-so-well-known song written by Bob Dylan. Like a number of Dylan songs, Bob never recorded this one in the studio, but performed it on tour in the late 70s. It's a blues song and feels like it was tailor-made for Jerry Lee's voice. Jerry Lee Lewis has much in common with the late Fats Domino. Aside from their shared birth state of Louisiana, they each are known for their distinctive piano styling. The serious Fats Domino devotee will recognize Sick and Tired, which was a hit for the Fat Man in 1958. Lewis has recorded this song in the past, but this version on Rock and Roll Time sounds more like The Killer having fun than feeling the least bit sick or tired. Lewis comfortably interprets the blues staple, Bright Lights, Big City, originally written and recorded by Jimmy Reed. Featuring Neil Young and Ivan Neville, Jerry's jazzy piano licks keep the song interesting. At about the halfway mark is a song known to all. Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison Blues is a classic American song, but at first I wondered about the motivation for recording it. When you pick up a copy of Rock and Roll Time, the cover picture immediately draws you in. Jerry stands outside of the Sun Studios building on Union Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee. It's a place affectionately known as the birthplace of rock and roll, where Elvis, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee recorded so many great songs. Given that Cash's first version of the song was recorded at Sun back in the 50s, I think it's a meaningful nod to the cover of this album and a statement about Jerry's place in the history of Sun. Following that popular song is an unheard gem by Mac Vickery, a very underrated songwriter. He wrote I'm the Only Hell My Mama Ever Raised, made famous by Johnny Paycheck, and many of you are familiar with his song The Fireman, which was a hit for George Strait. He wrote a number of songs recorded by Jerry Lee Lewis. Vickery delivered for Jerry Lee yet again, this time posthumously. Keep Me in Mind showcases the great singer that Jerry Lee Lewis is. Nobody can sing a country song like him, and given his many great country records, many featuring the best session artists Nashville has ever known, I can't help but wonder when he will finally be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. A Louisiana man by birth, Jerry has made his home at the Lewis Ranch in Nesbit, Mississippi. Aside from being a residence, small groups of his fans regularly tour the estate. In fact, the ranch received a marker on the Mississippi Country Music Trail last year. In homage to his Mississippi roots, Jerry brought new life to Mississippi Kid, a song from the first Lynyrd Skynyrd album. Derek Trucks plays slide guitar if you thought you recognized that distinctive sound before. Blues Like Midnight is the oldest song on the record. It's amazing to learn that this song was first written and recorded by Jimmie Rodgers more than 70 years ago. Rodgers is commonly regarded as the father of country music. In the hands of Jerry Lee, joined by Robbie Robertson, the song does not feel dated or old at all. It's a testament to the immortality of a great song. Here Comes That Rainbow is done as a duet with Shelby Lynne, and they sound great together. Written by Chris Christopherson, it's been recorded by Johnny Cash as well as the Highwaymen. The song was inspired by John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. With this combination, how can it miss? It's my favorite song on the record. True to the title of the album and the singer, Jerry Lee leaves us rocking. The album ends with Promised Land. The lyrics were written in prison by Chuck Berry to the melody of an old folk song. It's a tune that has resonated with many acts: Elvis Presley, Johnny Rivers, Bruce Springsteen, The Grateful Dead, James Taylor, and Meatloaf, making it a standard. As the final seconds of Promised Land played, I felt the impulse to back the album up and start from the beginning. Rock and Roll Time is short and sweet at 32 minutes long. If there's ever been a performing and recording artist with his own sound, it's Jerry Lee Lewis. Anytime I hear the Killers singing or playing a song, whether it's You Are My Sunshine or Over the Rainbow, I forget about every other version I've heard. At 85 years old, he's got another upcoming album with his take on gospel classics, produced by the iconic T-Bone Burnett. There's also a career-spanning documentary film in the works. Jerry Lee Lewis is truly the last man standing. He's outlived them all. I hope you'll join me in wishing Mr. Jerry Lee Lewis a happy birthday. In his honor, and for your own sake, maybe you'll listen to some of his great recorded music. Give Rock and Roll Time a listen. It's a great place to start. Happy birthday, Jerry Lee Lewis. May you rock forevermore.